All right, guys, welcome back to another weekly coaching talk with me. And this week, we're going to talk about why you can't spot reduce fat loss. And to be honest, have you ever just tried to say, I just want to lose belly fat, or I just want to lose my love handles, or I just want to lose the fat around my thighs? Because the answer is probably yes, because I know I have. I've definitely spent a lot of time in my early 20s trying to just spot reduce body fat, specifically on my belly. For me, that is my area of insecurity, and I know that we all have those areas. And I kind of want to spend some time today talking about the fact that it is physically impossible to spot reduce fat on your body. But there is some good news in the end, so don't just be depressed the entire time. But the problem is thinking that we can choose where fat comes off on our bodies. And I think the biggest reason we struggle with this is because of social media. There are so many fitness influencers that come on and will show pictures. They'll say, my stomach used to look like this, and I started doing these exercises, and now my stomach looks like this. And then, it's like, buy my 30-day program or my 20-day exercise program, or just do these exercises and you'll get the same results. And the problem is, unfortunately, that's not true, and it's not possible. So I kind of want to start off this discussion with giving you guys an analogy, because when I first heard this analogy, it really changed things for me and really put things into perspective. So I want you to just imagine that it had just rained, there's a ton of rain, and there's puddles everywhere. And the sun has come out, it's shining now, it's getting really hot, and you start to see these puddles begin to evaporate. And what you can see is that each puddle is going to evaporate differently. So one, the left side might evaporate first, and then the middle, and another, the top might evaporate first, or the bottom, or maybe it's a really flat puddle and it has a bump in the middle, so the middle evaporates first. And these puddles, they're evaporating, they're eventually going to go away, but they're doing it in different orders. And what I want you to do is apply that to your body. So imagine body fat is a collection of puddles, so to speak. Some evaporate more quickly and some slowly, and some seem like they never ever change, but they're all losing water. The mistake people make is staring at one puddle and deciding that nothing is happening. So you can kind of think about it like this. Think about all the body fat that you have on your body is a puddle. And as you begin to be in a caloric deficit, you begin to burn, you're burning more calories than you're taking in, you're lifting heavy weights. Your body is going to start losing fat, but in different places at different rates. So it might start to lose fat in your arms first, or your belly first, or your legs first, or maybe your face first. But it's going to be different for each individual person, and I'm going to explain that here in a second. So here's the thing where people talk a lot about genetics, because people are like, well, it's just my genetics. I'm just big boned, or I'm, genetically I can't have abs, or genetically I'm not wired to have this. And unfortunately, that's untrue. But genetics do play a major role in how we lose fat and how we gain muscle. So, like I said, some people genetically will lose the fat in their face first. Some people from their arms, while other people by their stomachs, hips, love handles, all those kinds of things. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. But here's the thing about genetics. Your genetics will determine the order in which your body burns fat first, but not whether progress is possible. So one of my best friends, for example, she carries 0 weight in her stomach. She pretty much always has a six-pack, no matter what, but she carries her weight in her arms and her legs and her butt. And that's where she carries her weight. So when you look at her, you're like, oh my gosh, she's ripped, she has a six-pack, yeah. But then she deals with insecurities around her arms and her legs. Where for me, I have had a six-pack maybe once in my life, but I've always had really toned arms and toned legs. But my last place my body likes to lose body fat is my stomach and my love handles. And for a lot of people, unfortunately, that's the same. And I feel like the people who it's not the same and they do just have abs all the time or a leaner waist all the time, people forget to look at what do their legs look like, what do their hips look like, is there holding weight in their face or their arms, because it's different for everybody. So genetics don't determine whether you can have a six-pack or whether you can lose your love handles. They just determine where the body fat is going to come off of you first. And like I said, for a lot of people, it starts with our face, our arms, our legs, and then the hardest ones are usually the hips and the stomach and sometimes the glutes. Now, the same goes for building muscle, and I just kind of want to throw this in here, that genetically, some people are more predispositioned as to where they gain muscle and how quickly they do. So for me personally, I've always had bigger arms, and I say that because you look at them, they're not very big, but I've always had more muscular arms, more toned arms, more lean arms, and that is genetically where my body tends to build muscle the fastest. Is usually from here up. I can get my chest bigger, I can get my shoulders, my back, my arms, all can get bigger relatively quickly, and they stay very shapely. I don't carry fat there. My calves are very difficult for me to gain muscle there. That is a genetic thing. It's not impossible. I've done it. I grew my calves by 1.5 inches way back in the past, but I had to put a ton of effort into it. And it's different for everyone. And that's kind of the biggest thing, is that I want you to understand is that your genetics are not sitting here going, oh, you're just big boned, it's impossible. It's not. It's literally not. And if you talk to anyone who's done any kind of bodybuilding competition, or there are people that do the transformation, there's a transformation category in bodybuilding now, and they very clearly, you look at their before pictures and you're like, how did they get from here to here? And it's not because genetics, it's because they put in the work. But your genetics are going to determine what your stubborn points are, what your sticking points are, and what your strengths are as well. So, for me personally, if I ever happen to do a bodybuilding competition, I would focus a lot. I'd have to focus a lot on making sure I get down to a low enough body fat percentage to see my muscles in my stomach and my abs and see those love handles go away. And I would have to work extra hard on my legs, just my legs. My legs are a struggle bus, right? And I could focus less on my upper body. I'd still have to do it, but I could focus less because that's how I am predispositioned with my genetics. So let me kind of back up and get back on subject. But why doesn't spot reduction work? Why can't I do that, especially when it comes to my abs? Why do I see everyone on social media and these are their before and afters and these are their results? And it's because you'll hear this a lot. You'll hear people will do these ab exercises or these glute exercises, they're doing crunches to train their abs, they're doing glute bridges to train their glutes, curls train biceps. Exercises train muscles. That's what exercises do. What they do not do is tell your body where to pull stored fat from. So if I'm working out my abs, I'm not working out the fat around my abs. I'm building my ab muscles. I'm strengthening them. I'm elongating them. I'm shortening them. It just depends on what I'm doing. But I am not specifically burning any fat in that area whatsoever. My genetics will determine where my fat loss comes from on my body. You cannot spot train where your fat loss comes from. It's physically impossible. Now, where it might seem like it's possible is if I spend a lot of time, building my arms and building my legs, my muscles might grow so big that you can see them more than the fat content that's around them. And that's why sometimes it can seem they spot reduced fat in their arms or in their legs, but really what they were doing is they were just growing their muscle while they were still in a caloric deficit and burning fat. And so the ratio of how that looks is different. If you think about it if you had two balloons and I had one balloon full of air inside another balloon that had a thin layer of water. So there's one balloon inside of another, and there's a thin layer of water between these balloons. If I start blowing up the inside balloon with air, it's going to displace the water, and at some point I'm going to start to see that inside balloon blow up, and the water is going to get pushed around. So now it's going to be bigger, it's going to be harder because it's full of air, and you're not going to just focus on the water, the loose fat, if you will, that was in there before. It's going to displace it, and it's going to look bigger, and it's going to look different. It's the same as we grow our muscles. We're not spot treating the legs, the arms, the abs, the love handles, but we are exercising, we're growing the muscles with those exercises. Well, I mean, technically we're tearing down the muscles with the exercises and growing them with recovery and nutrition. Just throwing that in there. But hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say with that. But our exercises do not determine where our fat is getting pulled from as far as when we burn fat. It's just not how it works. And I want to talk about why this matters emotionally, because I think this is a really big deal. I'm not 100% sure for men because, one, I'm not a man, and two, I mostly work with women when it comes to weight loss, but many people quit because the puddle that they're watching isn't shrinking fast enough. It's not disappearing. Meanwhile, their energy is better, they're stronger, their measurements are going down. There's so many other areas of progress that they just can't see or are too wrapped up in. And I'm super guilty of this. My whole life, I've just wanted a six-pack. I've just wanted a six-pack. But I don't know if I can ever healthily get to a low enough body fat percentage for me personally to see my abs the way that I want to. And that's just the reality of it for me, for what I want to see, what I want to look at. Because that's where my body likes to store the percentage of fat that I have, right? It's not distributed to my legs, it's not distributed to my arms, it's right in the middle for me. But that doesn't mean my arms aren't getting bigger, my legs aren't getting bigger, I'm getting stronger, my waist isn't shrinking, because usually it is. It's just not exactly the result that I want. And so I think what people don't realize is that they don't stick in it long enough to see that puddle begin to shrink, and they're missing the fact that all their other puddles have disappeared. People always focus on the stomach, and I get it, that's the biggest one, but I see so many before and after pictures where people's arms are completely different. You can tell they've lost half an inch on their arms or their legs, and they're missing it because they just want to see the reduction in the middle, which again, I completely understand. But it's a big win because what we have to do, your body will do it in steps, because this is what your body says genetically. Your body is saying, oh, first I'm going to lose fat in my face, and second I'm going to lose fat in my arms, and third I'm going to lose it in my legs, and then last I'm going to lose it in my belly. Now all four can simultaneously happen at the same time, but one is going to be a faster rate than the other. So yes, overall your whole body is losing fat, but first you're going to see it in your face, and then it's going to be more noticeable in your arms, and it's going to trickle down in that form. But if you never stay long enough to see it get to your belly, if that's where your sticking point is, if that's where your genetics say I store your fat, then you're never going to get the results you want because you didn't stick around long enough to see the whole puddle evaporate, if that makes any sense. So it's more to encourage you and not discourage you. It's to encourage you that it is possible. You just have to keep going, and you just have to keep adjusting and keep at it, and you have to celebrate the wins. You have to notice the good things. You have to notice the other parts of the puddle that have evaporated, because they matter, because it shows that it's working. It shows that you're doing it and you're accomplishing this. So the good news is, right, like I said, this doesn't mean permanent. Stubborn does not mean permanent. Stubborn body fat, stubborn belly fat, stubborn love handle fat does not mean that it's there permanently. It's the puddle that unfortunately evaporates last for you. It will just simply take longer, but it will evaporate. If that's your goal and you keep at it, you can make it evaporate and disappear. Many people have done it, many people do it. It just comes with patience, which is very hard in our society right now. Now, the people who eventually see and lose their stubborn body fat are the people They don't find a special workout. They don't find a special diet. They just continually repeat the things they know that work over and over again. Sorry, interrupted by my kids. But what I was trying to say is that there is no special workout. There's no special diet. The people that get to their goals and look how they want to look and feel how they want to feel are the ones that consistently put in the work into the basic things. And I hate to say it, but like, these people are doing the same workouts week in and week out. They're eating the same thing for the most part, week in and week out. And that doesn't mean they don't change something small here and there, or they don't go out and celebrate their birthdays or anniversaries. But simply what they're doing is they are consistently squatting, deadlifting, benching, accessory work. They're consistently hitting 10,000 steps a day. They're consistently doing zone 2 cardio twice a week. They're consistently eating in a 200 to 400 caloric deficit. They're getting good sleep. They're putting in the things, and they're consistently knocking it off over and over again. So if you want to see your puddles completely evaporate, you have to keep going and you have to be consistent. So in the end, the final takeaway that I want to give you is, instead of asking, how do I lose belly fat, or how do I, make this part of my body change or that part of my body change, I want you to start asking, how can I become the person that is consistent with my nutrition, with my exercises, with taking care of myself in every single aspect of life? And if you do that long enough, every single puddle that you want will eventually evaporate. And it will be work, and that's okay, right? Like, it's okay to understand that it's gonna take work for you to reach your goals. I still have a lot of work I have to do, but it's part of what I think most people don't truly grasp of making it a lifestyle. This is something that you get to do for forever. And I say get to do because we get to. We get to choose what we put in our bodies to bring health into our lives. We get to choose to go lift weights and make ourselves healthier. We get to choose to go on walks, to sleep more, to take better care of ourselves, to be the best version of ourselves for us and then for the people that we love around us, right? So I hope this helps in some form or fashion. I hope it kind of puts to bed and puts to rest all the nonsense that's floating around out there on social media. But if you guys have any questions about this, please let me know. If you're one of my clients, you can message me directly. If not, you can leave a comment and I will happily answer it to the best of my abilities. But I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you next week.